So I am attempting to continue my chain and complete the 314 PTU into live assessments and analysis of the patch notes. If my computer explodes, because it's currently rendering a massive Star Citizen live analysis video that's like close to 2 hours long, we'll find out really quick. So bear with me if it's a little rough around the edges on this recording. Let's get this mic real close. Okay, so we're still waiting for the actual patch as of this moment, but we do have the patch notes up. As you can see, there is a database reset. There is long-term persistence enabled, so if you did purchase a ship in-game, it is safe. There is this weird thing that's saying starting UEC is 20,000 credits. It's possible that that's just adding 20,000 credits to your overall ability. I am not quite sure if that's going to stick that way or not. We're going to find out very, very soon. I believe that your credits are safe. We'll see. So, with the database reset in place, if you did have an issue and you haven't logged into the game for a long time because you were upset about where you're stuck or any issues, well, this is a free get out of jail free card. Bear that in mind. You can see that the testing focus topics are gone, which was desync fix testing and general gameplay and stability as of W patch, which was put up yesterday. You can still see that the 16,008 error is continuing over to the live patch. This was the error that was causing problems on game launch, and what it talks about is a character reset or logging out of the launcher. Logging out of the launcher is pretty simple, and remember to close the launcher after logging it out and then reopening the launcher. The character reset requires going on the website. I would try to avoid that at all costs. Don't forget there's also the character reset where you can just change the look of your character, and that may actually get you out of your trouble. There's also one more workaround where you go into Star Marine and then just leave after you're done your round in Star Marine, and that should fix most of the other issues. So the last thing you want to do is reset the character on the website. You won't like some of the results. Although it's not game breaking. They are still having the 20,018 error, which means do not log off in your ship. I've talked to a couple different folks who have talked about different workarounds and ideas about how this highlights how the ship log off should not be the be all end all of the game, but it is right now. So for now, do not log off in the ship. I know it takes a little extra time out of your gameplay period, but just understand that you can't do that without risking a lot of headaches and problems. After a server connection timeout, a 30k bad token error may be presented, and that will preventing log and persistent universe. That means you have to restart the game. When you launch the game and it creates a crash, there is a couple different apps that are possibly conflicting with it. This is once again, these are all issues that have been previous, but I do want to cover them again because my thought pattern is you may have not been watching my videos about PTU. And by the way, on the right side of your screen is the most active PTU patch. On the left side of your screen is the live patch, and you'll notice they're very close in what is available during these patches. So you have your elevators and environment may be occasionally missing from the PU. The workaround for that issue, if you're on a station, is to EVA over to a nearby hangar, or more accurately pad, and be able to go back in the doors there, and then you can hit the ASOP terminal by hitting the elevators, which is a different kind of elevator, so you should be okay. Or if you're with an org or a group party, you can have them meet you. A lot of times when you fall out of the hab elevator, which is the most common that has this issue, if you're on a station, you can have them meet you at the large window if they don't have your pip, the small thing that's appearing on the screen where it lets them know exactly where you're at. Be sure they're in your party, by the way, so that will most likely appear, and that'll make it easier for them to be able to catch up with you and get you into their ship. And then they can land at a pad, get you back into a ship, or you can, if you're planning to be in a gunner or helping out on a multi-crew ship, well, you're set. So players unable to leave a party from main menu. The workaround is to select invite, leave party, and then exit back to the main menu. The chat window is positioned too low to be fully readable whilst in vehicle on ultra-wide monitors. This is something that has been carried over a couple times now. Using a meta pen will occasionally have no effect. I have not suggested this before, but something that I've learned recently is to carry quite a few med pens. Take advantage of the fact that there's still inventory streaming for this patch, so you should be able to go in and carry dozens of med pens. So if you have one that failed, well, you can break out another. And don't be shy about opening your inventory. Get the muscle memory down. So when you hit C and it fails, or you need more than one med pen, because in the future you will need more than one of a medical product, be able to know where to go in the inventory. Practice it a couple times, loading and unloading that onto your inventory to be able to throw it in. Swappable FPS weapons drop or remove the original weapon. This is a common issue that we've seen a few times on multiple patches. Don't be shy about not using your subscriber weapons and your concierge weapons if at all possible. They're more for show. When you're actually going to play and present these weapons and utilize them, it is suggested that you use pickups or normal weapons that you pick up in the store that are really cheap for this very reason, until they iron this out. Mineable commodities data in scan mode displays incorrect percentage values. This is a carryover from a couple patches. The player may become unable to open hammerhead turret doors, leaving them trapped inside. I spoke about some workarounds for this that include storing the ship and other things like that, because then you just respawn in the hab and then you could come back and communicate with the hammerhead operator, so the driver, the pilot. And that may be a way to work around this. They may be able to open the door from the other side. There's some workarounds, but this is just a common thing. Constellation Andromeda co-pilot is unable to target while in missile operator mode. That's another common issue. The elevators at Grim Hex fail to complete animations. The elevators can lose functionality. As I mentioned, and I'll add in the card at the end of this video, there is EVA-able areas in Grim Hex. Make sure you get a spacesuit on, or at least an undersuit and a helmet, and you can shoot around Grim Hex through these EVA-able areas, and that will allow you to get around the elevator issue. You can also jump in some cases from one floor to the other, depending on where you're trying to get to, and that can also give you away. Grim Hex is one of those interesting places that has tons of exits and entrances, including a lot as long as you're willing to go outside and EVA around. Don't forget, to EVA, all you have to do is walk to the edge of an area with gravity, and you just instantly, you won't fall. You'll just start floating, and you can utilize the EVA. And your middle scroll wheel will allow you to go fast in EVA. So it's much faster than you think to get around that way. And it's pretty straightforward. If you need to go down, go down. If you need to go up, go up. You can also give your party mates a meet outside of Grim Hex if you don't want to have to go find the exact location for the ASOP terminals or for the area with the market, etc. Just meet with them outside and go to another location if possible, depending on your crime stat, of course. Search missions such as shipment lost and lost cargo do not update once the player has collected the cargo box. And also, you cannot complete box deliveries in Area 18 as the kiosks reject boxes. These are both carryovers from previous issues. Distortion weapons can lead to friendly fire threshold being met in only a few shots. It's another carryover. The meme now, the Demon Fang Combat Knight asset, is missing from the game. The Demon Fang Combat Knife is one of my favorite items now because it has officially eluded the devs in almost every single PTU patch for 3.14, and now it is still not in the game for 3.14 live. This Demon Fang Combat Knife shows up when it dang well pleases. I hope by CitizenCon it's back in, and we can really make this a great meme for those who have survived the PTU testing on 3.14 process. It'll be a badge of honor to carry around your Demon Fang Combat Knife when it's finally back in game. When entering the pilot seat of the 100i, the animation may not complete, and leaving the player facing away from the windscreen. Use the Y key to get back out of the seat. No, just memorize that. You hit the Y key, you get out of the seat. And that's important because if the animation doesn't complete and you're facing away from the windscreen, you may not be able to hold F and look for the exit button or turn to your side and hit the exit. So hitting Y is an important thing to know about. So you can get back out and you can try it again until you get your animation to complete. You may also need to store the ship and then open it back up again in order to fix that animation break. So there is workarounds. They're a little annoying, but they're there. Occasionally, the quantum drive may start spooling with no known cause. That's not game breaking. That's annoying, but it's not game breaking. The next one is, and this is, once again, just like most of these, it's a carryover. Sometimes after spooling and calibrating the quantum drive and attempting to initiate the jump, nothing happens. So what you do when you hit that B key and it's 100%, 100%, why is it not going? You look away. So you physically point the ship away from the target destination, and then you point it back again. And you do that maybe once or twice, and you get it done. What I found anecdotally, once this has happened to me, it was because I had party mates that were on almost the exact same location, and it wouldn't let me go directly to them, but it wouldn't let me target the planet that they were right near either. They seemed to be lined up almost on top of each other. So I guess if I would have quantum to another location and then angled back in, I probably would have been able to fly quantum to the planet and then finally quantum to my party mates. Or alternatively, what I did was I just did exactly what they suggested: move the reticle away, then move it back. It took me two tries, but I did manage to get it running, and it was not the end of the world because I read these notes and I saw the workaround. Now, on to the exciting stuff. Well, we've got Crusader and the Orison landing zone on Crusader. So this has been a long time coming. You have a latticework of platforms suspended in mid-atmosphere on a gas giant Crusader. Orison is considered one of the most picturesque locations in Stanton. Very exciting stuff. Orison landing zone, I'm not going to spoil it a lot. I've actually spoken with a few folks who kind of feel like it's a very desirable location. It is something that is special. I want them to experience it for the first time. One of my friends, Ash, I'm going to be doing a collab with later tonight, where they're going to experience Orison for the first time without seeing a lot of previews of any type. So it's going to be very exciting. And I'm not going to ruin that for you either. Just know that Orison is fully featureable, and it has all of the different capabilities that you would expect on a planet, but they're up in the air. So you use a shuttle system to get between different platforms. So if you're on a platform and you're saying, where is this? Where is the company store, or this factory I've heard about, or the spaceport? Understand you may need to go on a shuttle to go to those locations. In that video that I'm going to do collab with Ash, I'll cover this in a lot more detail. I also have videos from PTU exploring Orison multiple times. And there is my prompt for 3014 Live. So in just a few minutes, I'm also getting word that the Taurus has gone up $40 in price. My goodness, I knew we were going to see a bump, but if you were riding that train, understand, I think it's 190 USD now. Jesus, and 160 USD for the war bond, at least based on these reports I'm seeing from one person. But yeah, we just hit live, and that brings up something that's kind of, it will not wait. The Taurus will not wait. The RSI Constellation Taurus, we're dealing with a ship that has tractor beams on the bottom of the ship. It has 2 storage areas, a significant amount of SCU in the main area, and then a small SCU. It's like 8 SCU in a smaller area that is hopefully double shielded. We're going to find out if it allows you to smuggle better. And also for scanning in the future, against players, will they be able to see the lucrative stuff that is in that back storage area that is not in the main cargo hold. Also, the main cargo hold was confirmed to be able to store 2 Ursa rovers, or an Ursa rover and an ROC and a few other things. So we have tested this extensively, and it is a very interesting ship, especially with upcoming planetary outposts, but that's going to be quite some time from now. So understand that there is a lot of nice things. I'm also seeing one of the suggestions already coming out is the Prospector to the Taurus CCU is only $5. That's a pretty good deal. The Taurus is going to be a heck of a little hauler, and it has a lot of neat stuff. It's still retained its size 2 missiles. It is got the VTOL chops of the Constellations, although it's a little weaker in its abilities of speed and such, because it can haul a lot more. It's the largest hauler of the series, and it's completing that promise that was made years back to complete the Constellation generation, one of the earliest sets of ships in the game. So we're seeing the end of an era of these. Also, we're also seeing a new referral. It looks like there may be a Dragonfly referral process. So if you get someone to do a referral with you, you can get that. We'll see. I think I'm going to have to do an entire video just on all the different things going on with 314 on the website side. But let's get back to the notes. So New Babbage Hospital interior location was finished, and the Brentworth Care Center in New Babbage had its first pass, as well as a remodel of the Aspire Grand Lobby to accommodate the expansion and future gameplay. And that's good. The New Babbage Hospital is important. It's part of a whole set of locations that are going to be around at all the major planetary landing locations, including Orison, by the way. The name of the Orison's facility is Orison General. Without giving out too much away, it is worth checking out. There's some very cool stuff to check out in there, although it's not a full-featured hospital yet. It's the first iteration, just like New Babbage Hospital interior that I'm going to have to apparently check out at called the Brentworth Care Center. Okay, so Law System V2 Surrender was added in, and the final 314 live notes on this show. Addition of surrender mechanic allows players to be arrested without losing their life, an important feature as the game moves closer to mechanics where your decisions to surrender or risk death by fighting/fleeing will carry more weight. Players will be able to surrender by coming to a halt and powering down their ship when ordered by security. Security will halt their attack and arrest the criminal player and impound the ship if owned by a criminal. Surrendering will give the player a reduced sentence when sent to prison. All players inside a criminal ship at time of surrender, regardless of criminal status, will be sent to prison when the ship is impounded. In its current implementation, players cannot surrender to other players, which makes sense, I think, in this early feature set. I've explained before that I was hoping that surrendering would allow players to get the ability to save the ship. So players with not a lot of ships or a favorite ship that they like using each time, regardless of how law-breaking or not they are, should have to spend their time in prison and then use split rocks or pay down or some other methodology to get the points to be able to get out quicker, or attempt to escape, which is fine, which actually is in the game. It is in the game. And then once they're out, especially if they did it the right way where they reduced their sentence or completed their complete sentence, they should be able to instantly get their ship. I don't think that there should be an impoundment of the ship. I hope that that does not have a high UEC cost attached to it, especially to players that are just starting out, players that may not know all the ins and outs of the law system. Like somebody they thought shot at them, but they shoot at the wrong person in response. Now they're a criminal. They get caught. They have to surrender. And now their ship's impounded and they can't afford to get it out. That would be kind of rough, to say the least. So I hope that they kind of iron out the kinks on that. We'll see how that is, and we'll have to test it. That's kind of what I'm here for. So if you look, by the way, on the W patch, there's not a lot here other than this really important topic. Further optimizations put in to fix entity stalls that were causing rubber banding and desync. Now, when we get back into the live patch, the missile operator mode is very important. So both the pilot and the co-pilot seat can operate a new missile operator mode that allows for a lot of interesting gameplay. You can select the kind of ordnance, you can select how many of a volley you want. So if you have 2 missile racks, you can fire, in many cases, both missiles at the same time of that size. Or even up to 4 missile racks, which is incredible. Like on the 600i, firing 4 size 3 missiles at once as a volley is just absolutely incredible. And I would say that this is an exciting new capability. It's something that really is necessary for the game to really be good, and it's going to create a ton of missile lag. Don't forget H is your new best friend for countermeasures, which fire chaff, which tries to break the lock. Chaff, which is defeating of EM, and then flares, which defeat IR. Now, we have faced extensive issues with using flares to break IR lock on a multispectral or an IR-based missile, because there's 2 different types of locking heads, EM and IR. So heat on the IR, or EM being the electromagnetics off your radar and all the different electronic systems on board your ship. When we have had extensive issues with the flares not functioning for long periods of time over many, many PTU patches. So we're going to have to test and see how they function, and if they've managed to fix them for live, hopefully they did. Because that H key is going to be your new best friend, and hopefully it works. And that's across almost every ship in the game, or every ship in the game. Because I'm not quite sure if the MPUVs have it, for example. Like the little transports that don't even have a QD drive. I love them, but they don't have a QD drive. You have the ability to select the ordnance, you can lock a target, you can fire the ordnance all through this system, and once again, your co-pilot can also fire the missiles, which takes away some of the workload off the pilot. And this brings up something they're not mentioning here, that there's a whole new capacitor rework system, which I don't know why it's not listed here on this patch. It's a big change. So if you've ever seen the triangle that says 33, 33, 33, so it's propulsion, weaponry, and engineerings, which is really your shields and defenses and such, all have different points on the system. Out of the 100%, all three start with 33% of your power grid, i.e. your capacitor size. You can move that around as the pilot. So you can give more power to the weaponry, for example, on a hammerhead, so they can reload their weapons faster and be able to spin around and get the shots off fast. And you can also move it to propulsion and shield systems. That is also an important part of this gameplay. And I would say that out of all the different methodologies that we have seen, the capacitor changes, i.e. power management V2, is a very exciting part. And I don't know why there's not a lot more discussion of that on the patch notes. But it is a simple system that I think is well past its need, and I'm glad to see it. And on a hauler, for example, a good preset would be 50-50 on propulsion and shields, with nothing towards weaponry, unless you have PDSs on board that are defensive automated turrets, for example, that shoot at missiles and ships and such that are hostile. Because that gives you extra maneuverability when you get towards your landing location, just to give your thrusters and boost a little more effort. It might save you from crashing or busting your ship a little bit. And also, you have the ability to switch that back at any moment you want. It only takes milliseconds to switch. There's a small amount of lag on the turbo system, which is turbo based, and it realizes the power distribution very, very quickly, almost instantaneously. And I would say that most ships, especially haulers, minor ships, and things like that are in motion and in transport, will have a huge boon to put a lot of their points in their propulsion and their engineering, which is really your shields. It'll allow the shields to recharge faster. It'll allow your propulsion to give you more boost to get you out of bad trouble or land in a safe manner, as I discussed. So please, please, please give those a chance. Your co-pilot will see them, but in many of the ships, if not all, you will not be able to adjust it right now. It is intended, though, your co-pilot will be able to do that soon. So if you are one of those players that plays alongside other players a lot, understand that they are trying to take the workload off of the pilot. So yes, the pilot can change it, or eventually your co-pilot will as well. And that's a lot of good workload there. Your co-pilot will be able to adjust the power grid systems, change capacitor on the power grid, and then for all the different systems, and also be able to work the missiles. So on a larger class ship, that's a really nice amount of workload taken off the pilot, who can focus on navigating and focusing on using the main pilot tasked weapons. Good stuff. Don't forget, you also have communications as your co-pilot, so that's another thing that you can do as your workload, and working out those processes of who's doing what. So we talked about the RSI Taurus. It could not wait. It is out. It is there. It is CCUable. It is war bondable. I recommend it. It is a good ship with the tractor beam turret on the bottom, and I will do an extensive video about it, I'm sure. But being able to call cargo or vehicles, or a mixture of both, and being able to do that all from the luxury of a tractor beam turret on the base of the ship, the bottom of the ship, is very valuable. And I gotta say, I'm pretty pleased with how it worked out. Planetary volumetric clouds, V1. There is clouds. They're on Orison, around Orison, all through the Crusader area. Eventually, there will be space whales flying through them, called storm walls. They are what they are. If you're going to do content creation, by the way, and you want to cover the clouds, you may need to record longer than you expect and then speed up the camera to really show the clouds moving at all. They're huge, and when you get too close to them, they don't really cover them that well. Added new graphics to give more control over the player's experience in the PU. Added volumetric cloud graphics options. Low, medium's the original default. High spawning distance options to allow distance from the camera and scattered object spawn. Added low, medium, original default. High terrain tessellation distance options. I have noticed that the high settings for the clouds do not seem to have an adverse reflect on my average PC. Also, I will point out that the best way to put it is there's a significant difference between medium and high. Low and medium don't seem to have much of a difference at all, if it's still the same settings as the patch W. I was spending a lot of time on Orison, just in W alone. The last patch right before this one that was clearly the release candidate testing. You can see almost the same known issue list and all these things that were already in the other patch. So, yes, that's about all there is about the W patch itself. You know what? I think I'm going to do a little bit of digging on the website because I'm hearing the Genesis Starliner is in there available. I'm hearing that obviously the Connie Taurus, the Ares series, which is coming out very soon. And I think it's a whole Crusader chain. So give me just a moment. So this is what we have on the website. And remember, I'm still rendering out a massive video, so just bear with me a little bit. Alpha 3.14 has been launched, and there's a large sale as well. You can see the C2, the M2, and the A2 Herc. C2 and the M2 have already been released. A2, the bomber variant with the large amount of extra turrets on the bottom. Instead of just this extra turret the M has the armor plus a whole bunch of turrets. I think it's like 7 of them on the bottom of that thing. It's going to be a true sight to behold. As a side note, this was supposed to only carry 2 tanks. This one's only supposed to carry 1. But unless it's a weight restriction, the latest picture I saw in, I think it was ISC, Inside Star Citizen yesterday, that preview only showed the bombing bay on the back of it, like all the way to the back. And that means that it still has the front. So the way these ships are configured, unless this A2 is different, has a front door underneath. This opens up and a huge ramp comes out, and the back has a huge ramp come out. This one seems to have a smaller ramp or a reduced size ramp for like the bomb load, etc. But the front should still be there unless it's like even more turrets or something. I don't know. We'll find out real soon. It looks like it has the same shape as the A2 and the C2 and the M2, the civilianized version, the militarized version of the C2, and then the transports, and then the actual military bomber. We'll see. I don't know. So we can see that we have the Inferno. This is the ballistic version of the Ares, and with a size 7 bespoke cannon on board, that's going to be ridiculous, but we have to see how much ammo it has on that small craft. We'll see. The Ion, which is the laser version, this lost one of its shields when it came time for the rebalancing. I suspect it was extremely strong because it has sustainment. This will be a great ship for combat with the Xeno threat. If you like small ships and you still want to be able to really punch into that Idris or that Jav, depending on which side you're on, this will be a pretty good ship. The MSR, which is an excellent staple ship, it's a special ship. It has a data running, it has a good amount of cargo space. You can put vehicles on it. Its downside is it's a fuel hog. It has good atmospheric capabilities, like all these Crusader ships, but it is interesting, to say the least. The C2, which had a price bump recently, as did the M2, they're both available. The C2 being probably the better deal out of the two. The M2 being a heavy armor with an extra chin gun. So it depends on if you want that heavier armor or not. And understand that that will have a cargo reduction in SCU, especially if you're in atmosphere. We still have to find out exactly how that's working out, because inside it's like the same. It's inside the same. So if you're planning to do vehicles, it might even be better to do the M2. Unless once they start doing armor, the performance of the vessel will change. Because right now it performs very, very well. I think it only has 2 size 4s on the pilot, but it has the turret guns, the nose gun. So one on the back, one here. whereas this one does not have the chin gun, but still has the back one. It's not a bad ship at all, and it can carry an incredible amount of vehicles. These are great for outpost and ARG work. And the Genesis Starliner. This is your people carrier, and this should be configurable into a VIP, even like, you know, kind of sort of like a bar casino thing, I think was one of the lore things, I think. And also a generic economy, you know, type ship. I suspect they're going to try to roll that all together quietly or have a variant or something in the future. So I don't think this is the last time we're going to see it. It may be the last time we see it at that point. So we'll see exactly how that is and how that does not go. I think this is a sleeper ship. Even at that point, it's still a people's ship. Remember, this is USD. Just keep that in mind. Here's the Shrikes. So they're rolling out a couple other ships and vehicles and kind of a combination. Missile command. Okay, so missile-based things. The Cyclone MT is the best of the Cyclone series. I don't think they're in a good point, really, but this is the best of the bunch. This was the one invented during theaters of war testing, where they realized it's not really practical to have an AA-type aircraft and then Cyclone, and then also have the turreted Cyclone that can't really do much against air and space vehicles and such. So this is kind of the happy medium that is able to do all sorts of different things at a high speed, low drag capacity. If you're, it is top heavy a little bit, but if you're going to get one, this is what you'd get. It even comes with the green paint job, which is, I think, is a nicer finish, and that's personal opinion though. So take it what you will. But if you're going to get one, get that. But I just still don't recommend getting them. I would buy it's a buy-in game thing if you're going to get it. Talon Shrike. Self-explanatory. It's a good ship, especially for that price. It's good. The ballista is, it's a defensive measure. It is insane to try to get this thing around unless you have one of these sitting around. Don't get it. But if you have a C2 or an M2, or you have a very, very close workmate in the same time zone as you, it might be worth picking one up if you work alongside them constantly. And this is a great all-arounder. The Freelancer MIS is truly a force to be reckoned with, especially with the new missile operator modes. This is going to be really good sustainment-wise. It has a ton of missiles. There is racks on the inside. It sacrifices a lot of cargo space. It still has a ramp for box missions or for more basic things. And it has a lot of seats, don't forget, too. I think it's 4 seats in the front, at least 2, I think 4 beds maybe, at least 2, but maybe 4 beds. So you can fit a lot of stuff in there. And then behind that is just all missiles, basically. You walk down this small cargo area in the center, and on both sides of you is is missile rack systems. It just fires missiles, fires missiles, fires missiles. It is close to the comparison to a Connie in a much smaller in a relatively smaller package. And the side guns are pretty good. The rear turret, I can't remember if it's functioning or not anymore. It used to be broken. I think it's fixed, but don't quote me on that. But the side turrets and to the forward-facing weaponry that you can task, and then also the missile locking system is really nice. This would be a good two-seater right here, the Freelancer MIS. If you're not a fan of the Hurricane, or you want to be able to do the missile thing from a range, that's actually not a bad option. And here's the plushie that I hinted at in a few previous videos. Now you can see it for real. It's a real thing. You can get your own storm wall, and Finley is here for you. You can see it is what it is. It's a pre-order. I think if you're going to work that, you'd probably want to do another shirt and then use this as an open button down, but taste is relative. I think the mug is cool. It's a shame he didn't use the mug. That would have been slick. But the mugs are really nice. They restock those. These are rare. They've come up before, I believe, and they're very popular. Looks like a Crusader Industries V-neck shirt. It looks like ours. Oh, neck shirt. Oh, CRU neck shirt. That's clever. Okay, I'll give you credit, marketing folks. That was really cool. They look all right, I guess. I'm not too fond of those either. But I think that shirt you can rock, but just you need to wear another shirt under it, like layer it. It was a shame they didn't have a Crusader Industry shirt. That would be kind of cool for that. But anyway, like an actual, just the logo on the front, like we seen at IAE. But that's a pet project of mine, trying to encourage to have official shirts that you could purchase a t-shirt, for example, that just has the logo of the company on it, and then you'd have a copy of that in-game if you purchase the shirt, which would be really cool. Kind of like a cross experience there. So here is the Taurus in all its glory, and it truly belongs there. The Connie Taurus has had a long time coming. It seems to be a little bit longer to fit everything, and that's fine. You know, it is what it is. This is me from the future. 168 SCU in the main area, 8 SCU in the back. It's not going to be a terrible ship. It's a really nice vessel.
Some things just don't go out of style. That the true classics never die.
Okay, so the Connie Taurus is here. It is, as I mentioned, there's a Warbond variant. There is a regular variant. It looks like the other Connies have come along to represent. I do not see the Phoenix, interestingly. That is missing. But there is a nice little combination of different, the Taurus, the Andromeda, the Aquila. The only Warbond variant is the Taurus. And that's all I see here. Now, what I'd like to do is double check the, let's take a look at one more place. So if we were to say pick the Nova, that was a popular topic on ISC yesterday. Let's take a look at an upgradable path here. So you have two options for the Connie Taurus. You can see that you can do the Warbond variant or the regular variant as well. This would be quite a little task with that type of option. So let's take a look at another version of what you could get for that point. So probably one of the better options. I apologize for scrolling so fast. I'm trying to just kind of move through this video though, so you get to the content. Like we already talked about, the Prospector is a nice touch. You can see it here in the Warbond variant. That's a heck of a good option. Another good option, and that would be a nice upgrade path. So you can try either your hand at mining if you decide you don't like mining, or you already have a Prospector and you don't use it that often. Grab a Taurus. The Razor EX is another one that's nice, although not many people have this craft, and the people that do might not want a Taurus, but still it's worth mentioning. You know, a lot of times it's happenstance. You might get lucky enough to have it. You might choose to have a buddy or a workmate that has access to that, or another site, you know, has access to it, that you can pick up a easy CCU to one of these and then roll it over into a Taurus. You know, it's your decision of what you want to do. SRV is another good option. A Mantis, here's a good example. A Mantis is a very specialty niche ship. If you decide you don't like how squishy a Mantis is and about how it's hyper specialized in blocking quantum or removing people from quantum, well, there you go. You can get a nice multi-role ship that can still fight, it can still haul, it can take care of, it can bring vehicles, almost the biggest size vehicles in the game. I mean, it's nothing to sneeze at having 2 Ursa rovers in there and still have the secret storage in the back behind the main cargo. If you're pirate, though, the secret storage is all the way in the front. It's right through the airlock. You just go, you just go through the side airlock. There, that's where it is. Trying to look out for you, Taurus owners. Okay, so let's go into one more thing that's worth talking about. So this is the referral reward. If you have somebody who's been on the fence about joining Star Citizen, maybe they've been into different free fly events, but they have not backed in. Now is the time to make sure they get a referral code if they haven't already, or if you have in the past and they just still haven't backed. This is the time to talk to try to talk to them and say, hey, are you still interested? Because there is these wonderful little dragonflies here that are gonna, you and them will get just by a single referral, and they still get the 5K UEC, and you still get the 5K UEC bonus for the referral. And all the other referral rewards apply. So if it's your 5th or 10th, you know, different ranks and such, or the 2nd, I think there's different ranks of those for rewards, those still apply. So this is a great time to get your referral in and get one of these fine things. If you haven't already done the referral rewards, they usually come with lifetime insurance. They are a reward item, and you cannot melt them for value, but you can upgrade off of them. So that's something to remember. That is a nice thing to have, but at the same time, do bear in mind, you can't just melt it and then buy it back at any time, etc., etc. It is what it is. It's an item. I think you can gift them, but don't quote me on that. I'll have to double check it. But the gist is, you're stuck with it. It's a nice thing to have, and especially for the person starting out, having an extra dragonfly is a nice thing to have. You could have a starter ship and a dragonfly, and also 5,000 UEC. That's nothing to shake a stick at. That's a nice little starting package, and getting started in the game. And remember, a lot of folks want to make their way in this game, and having these extra resources is a nice little value added while they get on their feet and start being able to buy things with UEC. And suddenly now they have something to haul this little dragonfly around with. So something to bear in mind. So that'll do it for this video. Kind of went a couple different directions. I hope you got a kick out of this. I guess I'll cover the Connie paints while I'm here. If this is still rendering correctly, because I have a render going, I am installing 314 Live, and I'm also doing this. So we'll see how this goes. There's an entire pack of Connie paints. I think you can also purchase these separately. We can check in add-ons after this. But I like the military looking one. It's a nice two-tone paint job. I also like this one as well for a trader. That would be kind of cool looking, especially on the Taurus. And then I like the Phoenix knockoff. Well, just because I like Phoenixes. That's a nice finish. So the Heron white would be the Phoenix looking one. The Heron black would be this one, the military two-tone looking one, which is not a bad little camo pattern depending on where you're landing. And then the Heron orange, which is, well, camo pattern if you're landing in a pumpkin patch. That is truly a standout. So once again, a trading vessel, a vessel in friendly skies, you know, maybe even if you somehow rig one up for racing, that'd be a fun setup. So I don't know how I feel about the point right there, but this is certainly the time. This is certainly one of those times to really look. I think with that referral bonus, that was a nice touch. It gets people interested, it gets excitement going, and it can really get a lot of things. Also, something that was not listed in the store page, I'm glad I kept checking, is the A2 Herc is available. So that's in the mix. Now, the A2 Herc is, at that point, is just too much, too high. At that point, you might as well just go to Polaris or something, unless you are super specialized. That's my perspective on that. I believe these two are winners. I believe this one, to a lesser extent, is still a great choice for an org, especially an org focused in very dangerous locations. That armor is going to be good. It's also going to be a blessing and a curse if the maneuverability changes. I think the Areses are serious options, especially the Ion. The sustainability on the Inferno, we'll have to see how long it can continue to shoot without having to go back and reload. And it gets to the point where, at that point, you might as well just get a Retaliator bomber and do a wallop of damage and then go back and reload on Torps. Although this would obviously not have as much survivability or ability to do damage, but I strongly suspect the ammunition on an Ares Starfighter Inferno would be a lot less than a Tally's size 9 Torps being replenished. So that does bear mentioning. And this is a winner, regardless, especially the Warbond variant of this. At that point, it would certainly be a great position to be at. So that's kind of my perspective. I don't know how I feel about the Talon Shrike. I think it's a strong candidate. 2 patches ago, it was seriously powerful. that has been brought down a little bit and maybe feature creeped in a little bit by the Hurricanes, which are very strong right now. Hopefully they're going to be quietly changed. So don't put too much stock in the Hurricane. Just a heads up, folks that have them, enjoy them while you can. But these are the type of lasting ships: the Starliner, the C2, the Taurus down here. Also, the Aquila is a nice ship. I think that these are interesting ships. I think that they're really nice. And yeah, I think the Areses are more specialized. I don't see them as long range capable. They are not like they're running around with a bed in there and all sorts of other stuff that you would need for long range. But the Ion is, out of the two, is more sustainable. Although it's using an energy weapon. So that has its own ball of wax that you need to concern yourself with. And keep in mind, it will never do the damage of the Inferno. At least the shield penetrating capabilities of the Inferno can do in-burst damage. So, for real this time, that'll do it for me for now. Enjoy 314 Live. Hope to catch up with you all in there. Don't hesitate to reach out. You know my name. Take it easy. I wanted to take a moment and thank everyone who's contributed, and in particular for source information and for some feedback on my video progress, to Ash and Eric, and to everyone who's taken part in these. You may not realize it, but even just typing to me or contacting me via Discord, or the few folks that have been in game that have been helpful in helping me secure content that was important to inform the community. You may not realize it, but you made this possible. It's been a weird production schedule, especially because in many cases it was less than 24 hours between patches, and they were unpredictable at best. Some would be released in the middle of the day, some would be released at night. There was a lot of in between, and there was very little to no warning at any time. Today, for example, was the most warning I've ever gotten, where it was a Twitter post early in the morning that I just by sheer chance saw somebody post on SC Leaks. Just say, hey, by the way, here's a official Twitter post that I confirmed it was legit. So it was something really cool. And to all the content creators out there, please keep going, keep the strength, and let's start 314 Live strong. And to everyone who listens to these and watches these, please don't hesitate. Remember to subscribe. It means so much to us. A little bit of feedback goes a long way too. And that especially goes to people who downvote. Give me some feedback of why you downvote. It may be something very simple that we can kind of come to terms with, or it might be something that's more serious. You know, you don't like how I have my opinion on certain ships, take it what you will. I try to be fair as possible, but I've run into a couple folks so far who have felt that way. And yeah, I hope to catch up with everybody in game, and let's start 314 strong and fly safe.